Okay, so far we've removed the strings from the bass and we've given it a good clean up. Now this is going to be the real meaty part of this series, where I'm going to be doing the rewiring of the bass, changing over the electronics and all that business. If you're not making any of those changes to your bass or guitar, please feel free to skip this one. Now this is going to take me quite some time. I'm going to leave this recording, but there will be quite a few jump cuts because it's going to take quite a while. I will say I've got a few tools available to hand. One of the key things that's really useful to own is a multi-screwdriver. This is actually a ratchet one. That's not essential, but it does save a bit of arm work, and it's very a whole selection of different screwdriver bits. That's really useful because each bass will have a variety of screws that you need to use, and every different bass will have different sizes of screws to use. So that's really useful. Also got to hand wire strimmers, pliers, wire cutters, all that sort of thing. What I would say is never get rid of a tool if you found it to be useful previously. One of my key pieces of kit is this. This is a little screwdriver set that came out of a cracker. Now, obviously that's not sort of very high tech, but I do find an awful lot of these, they don't always have screwdriver bits that are small enough. These do. They're really, really good. If you get a cracker with one of these in, hold on to it, and it will come in invaluable at some point in your life. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strim down the bass, and we'll come back at that point. Okay guys, just going to pause at this moment here. So where I've got to now is I've taken off the scratch plate, I've loosened the bell plate here with the controls in, and I've removed the bridge. Now the point to note here is where we're at is that Fenders nowadays, they tend to have quite a lot of routing out of here. The ones in the old days, 1960s through to maybe 1970s, the pickups here, they're very finely routed, they've slotted in there nicely, and there's just the root under the bell plate. Everything else here was nicely solid wood. I think it's a bit of a shame. The new ones, it's a bit of a lazy root out here. We're going to put the scratch plate back on again, so it's not really a big problem or anything, but just to note that at this point. But where we are at the moment, so the wiring is still in place in here. Now I'm going to have to snip this off to get it all out. But the pickups here, actually this one I won't need to snip because it's connected just through this route. So that can just come out with the bell plate. This one I'll have to snip the wires off in order to get that out again. What we've got in there is we've got the two pickups going to each pickup, or two cables going to each pickup rather. One grounding cable which comes through to the bridge here. I don't want to lose that because that's got to sit there and be fastened to the new bridge. And then a grounding cable that's actually in the cavity here. Now we want to hold on to that one as well, so that will need to attach to the new circuit. And that's all for the grounding situation, avoiding any further hump. So now I'm going to get these pickups out. I'm going to snip these wires off so we've got a plain starting place to work with. Okay guys, so I've removed the pickups now. I've still got to snip the wires off here. Just another point and here is make sure that you keep track of where you put the screws and what they belong to, because that's a really important thing, making sure this all goes back together again. Now, important point to note here is that I've got some foam rubber that's under the old pickups here that the new pickups don't actually come with. So what I'm going to have to do is to strip that off of here very carefully and re-glue it back into place in here. Also, interestingly, under this pickup, I've got another grounding wire that's actually attached into the shielding in the cavity. Now, the pickup goes into that one and then I wire through to the main circuit here. And I can actually make use of that into the new circuit just to offer an extra layer of the grounding. So be careful of what I trim out on that one and sort of reattach that when I get round to the new part. So into the next stage. Just going to pause here at the moment, guys, just to compare the old and the new pickups. So the old pickups are just your standard single coil. This is the inside of them, so you could just see there's the one coil going around the pole pieces here. The new one is just that little bit different design, where you can see the two different coils side by side. Now, this is a different design to a humbucker, and just allows that, I've got to get this the right way around again now, that hum cancelling process to take place, but doesn't actually overtly change the tone. So these are going to slot into here. Now I've removed the foam rubber from the old pickups. I'm just going to see if I can gently glue those into place in the new ones, and they'll just hold those into place really nicely in the new cavities. Okay, so while those are setting, I need to trim back the ends of these grounding wires so I can attach them to the new circuit. It's really important to have a proper wire cutter here, and you can do a neat job. Just trim off the last sort of 5 millimeters or so of the cable. It doesn't need a lot of connection on there, but it does need to be the clear, nice wire. So we'll do that now. Okay, so the new pickups are slightly different design of the old ones. Because of the hum cancelling, we've actually got 3 wires coming out of them rather than the 2 from the previous. Now, essentially, that means that the 2 wires wire to the same spot. Now, this does prove a little bit tricky with the J-tone circuit that we're connecting to, because there's only 1 wire connector for these. So what we're going to have to do is just sort of trim those back a little bit and wire them in together, but there shouldn't cause any major problems. Right, we've now got to the complicated part. So the pickups are roughly in position. We can set like exact pickup height later once everything's back on again. But they're screwed in, they're in place, and the wires are fed through to where they need to be. Now there's a lot of black wires, but I've got the 3 grounding wires, which are these ones here. Then I've got the neck pickup wires here and the bridge pickup wires here. Now what I need to look at is very important to follow instructions in this one. If you know exactly what you're doing, great. You probably don't need my video, but I've got 2 sets of instructions here. I've got the wiring diagram for the pickups. That's not coming through very well. But also the wiring diagram for the preamp circuit. I'm kind of working between those 2 because it's slightly different. This is really a wiring diagram for a passive circuit, but I can figure that out on here. Also going to reinstall the bridge grounding wire. I've still got in place here. That does pull through rather easily, but it just feeds through a hole through to the cavity here. So we can put that in place and screw that back in just a moment. Okay, so this is pretty sort of fiddly work. So the grounding wires are now in place. Now I've got to get the pickup wires wired in. Now it's very important to get these the right way around, so I'm going to be referring to the instructions quite a bit. But we'll get that done, and then we'll come back after that. Phew, right, guys, I think we're there. That was pretty fiddly work. I have to say, you know, while I fully appreciate the non-soldering way that the J-tone works, that is it's pretty fiddly to get on there. So I don't know whether that really makes it easier than doing a light soldering job or not, but nevertheless, we are connected up, and I think everything's in place. I'll have to find out once we put it all back together again. In the meantime, I'm going to put this all back in. I need to get a battery. If your base does take batteries, I always recommend using something sort of really decent, a Duracell or something, you don't necessarily have to go brand name, but don't go super cheap either, and certainly don't use rechargeable batteries because they will give out on you a lot quicker. So I'm going to get that all in place and get this all back together again. Okay guys, we got the plate back on again. I have to say again, while this is designed to obviously not require any extra routing or anything, the J-tone is a really tight squeeze to get into here, and this is an American fender, which is really designed for. So I'm hoping all the wiring is everything is in place, because that's going to be a real pain to get back off again and resort anything. So we shall wait and see. Make sure everything's back in place. In the meantime, I'm going to get the plate back on and get the base back looking as it should do. Okay, there goes. So there we go. We've rewired, we've sorted everything out, and everything is now in place. So the next section will be reinstalling the strings, and then we can move on and check, hopefully, all of this works.